Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Fabulous Friday Ramblings, where we're here to discuss all the things that we love about pop culture. No matter what kind of fandom you have, we're going to keep track of it, and we're going to help spread the reasons why it's awesome. Now, I thought today I'd kind of do a sequel to a few different videos. We did our breakdown of the Ghostbusters comics across various companies. We've done a breakdown of the Ninja Turtle movies as part of my narration of my two-part playthrough of TMNT 3, The Manhattan Project, on my Tuesday night streams. And we have discussed the Ninja Turtles in various other video game formats, cartoons, but so we're gonna kind of tie up all this stuff of licensed comic books and Ninja Turtle fandom, because, well, we're going to discuss the Ninja Turtle comic books, even though technically the original comic books were not licensed, because that's where the Ninja Turtles came from. So it's kind of a licensed comic book thing, because some of the comic series are based off the cartoon series. It's kind of another continuation of Ninja Turtles Media Breakdown. So, either way, it's all going to be good fun. Nice and meaty, too, because you're looking at decades of Turtles lore. So, let's get back to just the real quick, nitty-gritty, dirty origins of it. And that is that two gentlemen by the name of Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, one day, while trying to come up with comic book ideas, sketched a turtle, originally much more of a anthropomorphic turtle, with some ninja weapons on it. And they got so amused by the fact that they decided to just go ahead and try sketching out some full-blown, instead of realistic turtles, humanoid cartoon turtles who happen to be ninjas. And from there, as tends to happen in the comic book industry, the idea kept developing. Personalities were fleshed out, backstories were created, and we had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Eastman and Laird decided to publish their comic book under the name Mirage Studios as essentially a meta joke, because it was two guys working out of their garage. The Mirage is the studio itself. They didn't have an office building. They didn't have a staff at that point. It's just two guys chasing a dream. The other big thing about the origin of the Turtles is that they were originally created as a satire of the super gritty comics being put out, most especially by Marvel, specifically Daredevil, as there are several aspects of the Ninja Turtles origins and original variants that are tied into Daredevil mythos. Their mentor Splinter, whereas Daredevil had a mentor Stick, because of course, stick made of wood gives you splinters if you handle it badly. One of Daredevil's great arch rivals is the ninja clan known as the Hand. So the Ninja Turtles had the foot. Daredevil was originally blinded by a truck dropping radioactive waste. The Ninja Turtles were mutated by radioactive ooze, as the term was later pretty much all but trademarked. I don't know if they ever actually officially trademarked ooze, but they certainly made the word permanently associated with the Ninja Turtles, especially thanks to the second live-action movie being subtitled The Secret of the Ooze. So that's what you had is, and where we're going to start our journey. Mirage Comics Volume 1 of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, this all came place in May of 1984, was the cover date of the original book, and by the time Volume 1 was done, it was August of 1993, and they had released 62 issues. Pardon me. Culminating in the 13-part City at War story arc. Now, over the course of that 9 years, Mirage Studios also produced a 5-part micro-series. It's called a micro-series because it was actually 5 one-shot issues that all had the same basic theme of giving character development to an individual character. In this case, the 4 Ninja Turtles and their robotic ally, the Fugitoid, because he was a fugitive android, a Fugitoid. It's an alien thing. They also created the spin-off series Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which ran in its original form for 7 issues. And again, served as a way of telling extra stories, usually written by other people besides Eastman and Laird that had, as the whole Ninja Turtle thing caught on, come on to help them as staff, or they were just friends needing, something to help get them a project that people would notice and get their reputation built up. They also had, various other annuals, one-shots. It was basically just a lot of stuff. Produced over 9 years. I mean, all total, you're looking at close to 100 issues of Ninja Turtles material. Some of it was backup material in other books, but either way, it was a lot of material. Now, almost immediately after the end of Volume 1, let me go ahead and just look at my dates here. About 2 months later, Mirage launched Volume 2 of the main series. Now, the other thing obviously going on is by 1993, the Ninja Turtles cartoons had come out and things were just exploding. There was merchandise and figures. I'd say that more just to kind of give a backdrop, because when we do get in later to Mirage Studios not producing the Turtles comics, a lot of that is because they reached a point with the Ninja Turtles concept that Eastman and Laird were just spending so much time managing the different adaptations and merchandise that there was only so much they could do. There's only so many hours in a day. And eventually, and we'll get to that in a minute, but eventually Mirage did stop producing the comics themselves. But as I said, we're going to get to that in just a minute. In the meantime, we do have Volume 2. Now, Volume 2 ran only 13 issues, from October 1993 to October 1995. See, this is why I kind of said that thing earlier about how busy they were. That's 13 issues over 2 years. Normally, you would have more like 20, 24 issues. So clearly, they were not able to, with all their other business concerns, keep producing content that they were satisfied with at the standard comic book pace of once a month. And that's okay. I am not criticizing anybody. God knows I've never tried to write a comic book and stick to those kind of deadlines, so I cannot sit there and say, oh, it's so easy. No, it's not. If it was so easy, everybody would do it. You know how many comic books crash and burn because folks can't get to a point where they can't get the books out on a regular schedule, and they lose fan momentum, and the fans move on? Let's not judge anybody for that. We're just saying, laying things out, little math, to make things official. Now, this is where things start getting a little squinky. As I said, the Ninja Turtles concept got really busy for a while. Other companies got involved. We're not doing this chronologically for this very reason I'm about to explain. Eventually, Mirage Studios did start producing their own comic books again, except it took until 2002. That is a gap of 7 years. So we're going to go ahead and just chronologically do a little jump, so we can go ahead and do this by studio. Because otherwise it's kind of like a thing. It's a little easier to do it this way and map it out this way. So yes, 7 years during which other companies were producing Ninja Turtles comics before Mirage, in turn, brought things back to themselves. With Volume 4 of the official standard Ninja Turtles comic. We'll touch on what Volume 3 was in just a minute. Volume 4 began in January of 2002 and concluded with 31 issues in October of 2010. Now again, that is several years. The largest gap of which were, sometimes a couple years apart between issues. Now again, I'm not judging anybody involved with Volume 4. But the simple fact of the matter is that is a very sporadic release date situation, and it is a sign that perhaps, even though the stories may have been excellent, I've personally not read Volume 4, so I'm not going to judge the quality of the stories, but in the comic books industry, having delays of up to 2 years between issues is a sign that you probably should have given up. I understand, as a writer, Eastman and Laird wanting to put their own sense of closure on their continuity, especially when the base idea of the Turtles had been worked on by so many other writers in various other forms, often without any input from Eastman and Laird. Ooh. That's what happens when you record stuff after dinner, folks. Lovely digestion. But yeah, I mean, I understand, certainly, feeling like you want to put your final stamp on your continuity and end things the way you want to end them. The thing is, I don't even know if they really accomplished that, because 31 was not written with the intent to be a series finale. In fact, they released one more issue as an online-only thing 3.5 years later in May of 2014. Actually, excuse me, issue 31 was also an online-only release, again a year and a half after the previous print issue. It's, I mean, these guys were very busy. They had a lot going on, and I mean, there were times that one or the other, I'm not going to get too much into the personal histories here, again, just laying things out for reference. But there's times when one or the other just walked away from the Turtles because it was consuming their lives, and it was something they just mentally couldn't process. And I understand that, and I respect that. But yeah, the release date alone is something that just that's my lesson. That's my friendly, constructive advice for any independent comic book creators out there. If you're taking more than a year to produce a single issue, then you need to stop and realign some things in your business, because that you're never going to maintain, let alone build an audience doing that. It's just the simple matter of things. We all want to grow an audience. Every single creator, whether it's writing or painting or drawing or composing music, we all want to grow our audience at a somewhat regular basis, and not having product coming out on a somewhat regular basis is going to cause a lack of growth. But that's it for Mirage Studios. Oh wait, no, excuse me, sorry. See, again, that's the problem with running off notes. During the Volume 4 era, they did also produce a second volume of the Tales of the TMNT series. That one actually ran 70 issues. Again, mostly worked on by other writers and artists. So it's kind of weird to look at it in that sense of it was actually coming out more regularly than the main series, which I guess kind of made it turn into the main series. I don't know. I guess it depends on how you define main series books, but you know. But yes, it concluded in May of 2010, which was the same month that, or excuse me, was a year after the final print issue of the main series came out. So it certainly did help fill in a lot of the monthly gaps between the main issue releases, but again, it's not the same. They did release a few other minis during this time as well. Four 4-issue minis, each focusing on an individual turtle. So, you know, that's the goodness. Now, that mysterious Volume 3. I said we're going to come back to. We're going to go ahead and knock that one out because it is the quickest and easiest history to touch on when it comes to the TMNT comics. And that is because the third volume was done not by Mirage Studios, but by Image Comics. It has, since its publication ceased, been removed from any other continuity, and thus is a non-canon volume, by Mirage Studios, due in part to a lack of desire by co-creator Peter Laird to follow up material that she was not directly involved in or fully approved. Every issue of the Image Comics series was written by Gary Carlson and penciled by Frank Fosco. There are a total of 23 printed issues, with 2 more independently printed in 2011. Issues 24 and 25 are a fan project started by Andrew Modine, who, after it got noticed by certain people at Image Comics, Image asked Viacom for publishing rights to officially finish the series, but they were turned down. So, it's the thing, it's out there. The original run of it, as I said, was 23 issues. It began in June of 1996 and concluded in October of 1999, so a pretty steady pace of releases. Now, part of the reason that a lot of folks do not like this particular volume, and why Peter Laird was most likely not that interested in continuing it is that the series took the kind of darker, serious, older aged audience approach of the Mirage books to the next level, and even though it only produced 23 issues, created a series of massive status quo changes to the book, including, in many cases, physically breaking down characters. Real quick, let me just go through my little list here. Leonardo lost a hand, Raphael's face became scarred, Splinter became a bat, Donatello became a cyborg, and Raphael even briefly took on the identity of the Shredder and assumed leadership of the Foot. Also, because the volume was produced by Image, the Turtles were incorporated into the Image universe shared continuity, which meant that there were crossovers and guest appearances by characters mostly from the Savage Dragon series. And excuse me, I feel like I almost had a sneeze coming on there. And you know what, we're just going to gloss over the Savage Dragon series because I'm not a fan of Savage Dragon or of its creator Eric Larson, and since this is not a negative rant raving setup currently, we are not going to get any deeper into Savage Dragon and Eric Larson than that. Certainly, if you want to hear me give my opinions in private, feel free to contact me. Or just plain wait for me to get really, really pissed off one day and I may rant and rave on them, just make myself feel better. That does not make me a good person, of course. That's why I don't do that during my normal videos. Because I'm trying to be a good person. It's not quite a New Year's resolution, because I started that midway through last year. I don't make officially resolutions. I just try to be a good person regardless of what's going on with the calendar. But yes, that is Volume 3. So now we move on to the stuff that most of us who grew up with the original Ninja Turtles cartoon are familiar with. And that is the Archie Comics continuity of Ninja Turtles, which, because it started from scratch and was inspired by the original cartoon, did not follow up the volume and issuing numbering of the Mirage series. Which, you know, that's the way you go. It's a whole new continuity. It's produced by another company. Yeah, you do your own Volume 1, Number 1, and go forth from there. Now, the main series of the Archie Comics TMNT run started in March of 1989 and ran until October 1995, covering 72 issues, which is, yes, folks, a very steady release schedule. There was also a series of miniseries, including multiple ones focused on April O'Neil, as well as some spin-off characters, and the 12 issues of covering a miniseries and a ongoing series. It simply didn't go on that long. Spin-off featuring various Ninja Turtle supporting characters called the Mighty Mutanimals. Now, the Mighty Mutanimals series is interesting because it is the one time that the Archie Comics started approaching the mature seriousness of the original Mirage books, in that the Mirage series ended with the Mighty Mutanimals team getting massacred, as in killed. This was a plot point that was carried back into the standard main Ninja Turtles book, which meant that, yes, the last year or so of the Ninja Turtles Archie comic did get a little darker and more serious than it had started off on. Still never quite hit the super gritty, physically mangling approach of Image. But it's a thing. It's just a thing. They also had various one-shots, a couple crossovers, movie adaptation comic books. A lot of good Archie fun. So, the thing is, I will say this on a personal level. I have read a few of the Archie books. Now, I mostly did read them when I was a younger lad, and thus the more light-hearted, cartoonish approach did appeal to me. However, that does not necessarily say that, as an older gentleman, that the books would not still suffice to be entertaining. This is one of the things that, as a reader and writer, I have struggled with, and we're going to go ahead and throw this out here as we discuss the Ninja Turtles and how the various companies and continuities have taken different approaches to how serious and or cartoony to make the Turtles. And that is that you can have a book that is very lighthearted, that is fun, that has content that can be viewed by people of all ages and is appealing to people of all ages. If you don't believe me, sidestep and go watch some of the classic Disney films. Especially anything from when Walt was still alive. Walt Disney produced films that everybody in the entire family, no matter what their age, no matter how many times they've seen it, can enjoy. So that is not to say that just because you want to produce something and have people older than the age of 12 purchase it, you have to make it dark and gritty and alienate your younger fans. And it's not to say that writing something that the little brothers can read will dissuade the older brothers. And yes, I know I'm being masculine there. I'm sorry, it's just the way my brain's wired. I instinctively think of that, especially when discussing things like readership fan appeal, because I think of it in perspective of what would I enjoy, and I am a male. So, for those people that started getting a little wigged out when I said brother, I apologize. I did not mean to exclude people who do not identify themselves as males. Everybody can read everything, if they are so inclined. Fandom should come from a variety of sources and perspectives. Alright, there's my disclaimer. Again, me being the nice person, because that's what these videos are all about. Everybody getting along and enjoying their fandom. So, as I said, eventually Archie gave up the Ninja Turtles because, understandably, we just hit a point where the Ninja Turtles needed a rest as a concept. Cartoon series, the original cartoon series had ended. So, ooh. As I said, sorry folks, a little digestion issues. Ooh. You know, can't keep eating like you're 16 when you're well above the age of 16. But yes, Ninja Turtles as a concept needed a bit of a breather from the majority of the audience and potential audience, as all things tend to do. So, flash forward a few years, we got a new TV show in 2003. And so, Dreamwave Comics, another small publishing company that tended to go after as many licensed properties that have some inherent nostalgia value as they could, which didn't help the company in the long run. Sad to say. But they tried to produce a tie-in comic. It only lasted 7 issues from June of 2003 to December of 2003. And after that kind of faded away. Fortunately, the TV series it was based off of lasted a bit longer, and all was well and good. So what has all this been leading to, folks? This has been leading to the current publishing power of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Because our old buddies, our old Ghostbuster lore loving buddies at IDW, yeah. Oh, it always comes back around to you guys. You're just so good at what you do. C'est magnifique. IDW Publishing picked up the Ninja Turtles license, which you would know if you watch our Ghostbusters breakdown, because we mentioned that the Ghostbusters have had crossovers with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Woo! As I said, it was all tying back in together, folks. Multiple videos. It's all linked. It's all a chain. We cannot break the chain! We cannot break the chain! But yes, folks, IDW Publishing is the current studio in charge of producing your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic books. They have been doing so since October of 2009, which means, yes, they've been doing it for over 10 years. And as such, because they have continued to produce the comics regularly, it means that they have produced more issues of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles material than any other publishing studio, including the originators Mirage, as well as the main core series having produced more issues. Now, the initial creative team consisted of TMNT co-creator Kevin Eastman, who collaborates on the plot and the page layouts, Tom Waltz, who scripts the series, and Dan Duncan, who handled finished art. Okay, excuse me, not October 2009. Sorry, I was reading the wrong date. That's when the TMNT franchise was sold to Nickelodeon, who is the current owners of it. The comic actually launched in August of 2011. So they have had it for about 8.5 years. But again, in that time, because they're producing it regularly, they have still gotten that record of most amount of content produced. And they have produced it, as I said, backed by original creator Kevin Eastman. So here's where the book gets really, really awesome. See, Kevin Eastman, along with Tom Waltz, took the approach of creating a series that was a loose mix of the original Mirage comics, the 1987 and 2003 cartoon series, to create something that would appeal to both old fans like myself and the new fans who had been watching the more recent cartoon series and the recent live-action movies. You know, a little something for everybody, but he didn't just reuse old concepts from the Mirage continuity and the cartoon series. He has actually introduced new characters and taken old characters and put new twists on them, changing their alignment from enemy to ally or ally to enemy, giving them just much more backstory than they had previously. So it is something that even if you don't know anything else about the Ninja Turtles, even if you've never seen any of the shows, the movies, any of the other comics, you can pick it up and it is a fresh starting point. You're not going to catch all the little fan references, but that's okay because that's the point, is they are not bashed over your head. You don't feel like you're missing anything because you don't catch these. That is where the brilliance of the writing comes in, where the fan service does not make those who don't catch it feel left out because it's very subtle. It is there for the fans to notice, not to drag down what the new audience came here for. Now, besides the main series, which is still running, we have gotten the return of the micro series, although it has gone longer than the original 5 issues. It is actually run, counting the ones done for the heroes and for the villains, it has run, let me actually get my, see, where is my issue counts here. Let's see. It has run a total of 16 issues. 8 featuring your heroes and 8 featuring your villains. Woo! Yay! You've also had a series of minis that are designed to provide extra backstory and plot development to supplement the main series, and a spin-off series that ran for, I think it was like 25 issues, because it did recently conclude. Hold on, let me get my actual trades here because I am collecting this series. Yes, 25 issues. Yeah, alright. Here we go, folks. We're going to have a little prop time. Look at that art. Look at that beautiful art cover. That cover is incredible. See? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles universe. Look at that art. Look at that cover. It's wonderful. Just makes you want to open it up and see what's going on and all that chaos. Yeah. Woo. I am not 100% caught up on that series, as I do collect them in trades, and I am a couple trades behind. Because that's just how I roll. I came into the series after it had started, so it was easier for me to just catch up by buying the trades, and I figured since I had already started with the trades, I would just stick with them. Now, I don't want to sit there and try to show too much favoritism. I will say that I adore the IDW series. As I said, I have not read the Image series. I have not read the entirety of the Mirage series, only select issues from Volume 1 and 2. Actually, I don't think I read anything from Volume 2. I think everything... Yeah, just Volume 1 for the Mirage series. And as I said, I've only ran a handful of comics from the Archie run. I did not read any of the 7 Dreamwave comics. But I will say that it is my favorite representation of the Ninja Turtles. Partly because, as I am a fan of the different cartoon series and movies and video games, I do catch the majority of the fan service in-jokes. I will go ahead and say that, just real quick, the biggest thing I love about the IDW comics is that it is not a simple matter of these are the good guys, these are the bad guys. You've got like 5 different factions, maybe more. You've got, the Ninja Turtles, along with Splinter, April Casey, they're direct allies. You have Kevin Eastman's new take on the Mighty Mutanimals, who mostly work with the Turtles, but at times have opposed them because they just have different goals. You have the Foot Clan. You have Krang, who in this continuity is not allied with the Foot Clan at all. You have the Pantheon. I'm not going to spoil too much about the Pantheon because they are a wonderful concept that was originally done in Mirage, but IDW has just had the opportunity to just do so much more with them. That's the main 5. And then you have groups like the Purple Dragons, who have shown different alliances to those different factions depending on what has been going on and who's currently in charge of the Purple Dragons. You have a wonderful version of Baxter Stockman, who's basically playing everybody against each other and doing his own thing. You have some mutants that just aren't allied with anybody. Oh, and you have Null, who's this like weird devil-looking person thing. We're not 100% sure what Null's deal is, but Null's doing its own thing. So it's just, there's just so many different groups that you can't just sit there and say, oh, they're with the Turtles. Oh, they're with Shredder. No. Sometimes they're against the Turtles and they're against Shredder. Sometimes they're with the Turtles, but only because they're using the Turtles to get their own goals accomplished. It's something where just the longer it goes on, the deeper the world builds, and every new character introduction doesn't feel like, oh, we're throwing this in because we're bored of the old characters. No, it's fleshing out, giving the writers more tools to play with, and it's one of the best examples of what serial storytelling should be. So, let's go ahead and do our wrap-up. Should you read Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic books? Yes. Where should you start? Personally, I would say start with the IDW run because it is a run that is still ongoing. Whoop. Digestion woes again. I do apologize for people that have a bit of a weak stomach and don't like bodily functions. I'm certainly not planning this stuff out, folks. Kind of like my ongoing sinus issues you've seen in previous videos. What can I say? I'm human. But yeah, I would recommend the IDW run because it is a wonderful balance of fun characters with mature storytelling that just develops at a nice pace. Thanks to IDW having reprint rights, it is not impossible at all to get the old Mirage books if you want to read those. The Archie comics are out there, especially in the age of digital. If you like reading digital comics, I can pretty much guarantee you most of this material is out in digital format. IDW, I believe, has even reprinted the 7 issues of the Dreamwave series. If you want to just go ahead and knock that out too while you're at it. I would say that, definitely the first volume of the Mirage comics, just for the historical purpose. If you like it, go ahead and track down volume 2. As I said, because I have not touched anything in volume 4, I can't directly recommend it, but as I said, if you like volume 1 and 2 of the Mirage series, go ahead with volume 4. Volume 3, again, it's kind of like the Dreamwave stuff. If you want to read it just to say you've read everything, go for it, but I really wouldn't recommend it. I don't know how popular it currently is within Ninjaturtles fan base by and large, but it's just every time I try to research it, it just it feels like somebody's beating up friends of mine. It feels like watching somebody just drag a friend of mine into a back alley and just beat the snot out of them for their own amusement. But maybe I'm just too sensitive a guy. The Archie books, hey, again, especially if you ever watched the cartoon growing up and enjoyed it, or you've bought it on DVD or watch it on a streaming service as an adult and like it, then by all means get the Archie book. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to force you to, and if you choose not to follow any of my recommendations and not touch anything Ninja Turtles, I'm not going to take offense. You're not going to upset me. Because I understand. These are recommendations. These are not orders. You know, we all have only so much time. And you have to do what you feel is the best use of your time. So, with that in mind, I appreciate you spending time watching my video. I hope you'll continue to join me every week. And by all means, please check out some more of this loveliness. See? Here's an example of one of the minis they put out. The Dimension X mini. Woo! Dimension X. Look at those turtles. Look at those fun-loving teenage turtles who have been mutated and practice ninjutsu. Whee! But yeah, check it out if you want to. If you've already checked this stuff out and love it, feel free to comment. Let me know what you like in the Turtles. But make the most of your time. I hope that time includes me. And when it's all said and done, I'll keep rambling, you keep watching, and we're all going to celebrate fandom together. Oh, and also, don't you dare be hateful. Come on, folks. We're only halfway through the first month of the year. Let's start this off right. You don't have to make a resolution, but be a good person. See you in 7.